Hello everyone and welcome back to Secrets Behind the Stars, your cozy corner where the glitter of show business meets the heartbeat of real emotions. I hope you're all doing wonderfully today, because what we're about to unpack has had the entire Turkish entertainment scene buzzing since sunrise. If you're new here, settle in and make yourself at home, and if you've been riding with us for a while, thank you for being the reason this community keeps thriving. Don't forget, tapping subscribe is the easiest way to stay close to every whisper, reveal, and goosebump-worthy moment we uncover. Now take a deep breath, because tonight we're stepping straight into the whirlwind surrounding Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel, a whirlwind that finally touched ground with a confirmation so clear it left no room for doubt and every room for joy. For ages it felt like we were treasure hunters chasing glimmers in the sand whenever Barış and Yağmur surfaced in the same frame. A glance here, a laugh there, a shared look that lingered just a heartbeat longer than a friendly hello. Fans froze video clips on the exact second their eyes met, slowed down stories from their social feeds, and rewound interviews to study the tiny shifts in their smiles. And who could blame anyone? The magnetism between these two has been a conversation that simply refused to fade. They moved through their worlds like stars tracing an inevitable path, and we followed, piecing together fragments that didn't quite become a picture, until today. In a fresh interview that rolled out like a calm sunrise, Yağmur chose the simple truth over coy strategies. No riddles, no diversion, no elaborate runaround. When the host gently asked the question a million hearts had been whispering, Yağmur's answer landed with the softness of a confession and the power of a headline. She didn't dive into details or map out a timeline. She didn't have to. With a poised smile and eyes that said more than paragraphs ever could, she made it known, she and Barış are happy, and yes, they are together. It wasn't a scripted spectacle. It was real, unforced, and quietly luminous, the kind of moment that travels across screens and goes straight to the chest. You could feel the internet pulse. Within minutes, comment sections shimmered with congratulations. Entire threads filled with memories of when fans first noticed the spark between them. People remembered that red carpet look, that brand event where their laughter overlapped, that behind-the-scenes snippet where they stood a little too close for mere acquaintances. All of it, suddenly in focus, suddenly part of a bigger story. Admirers weren't just celebrating a reveal, they were celebrating a sense of being seen, of their intuition being honored. And if you watched closely, you saw something else, relief. Not the scandal-driven kind, but the relief that comes when two people you admire decide to let light into a private room, just enough to show there's warmth inside. Let's pause and appreciate what this says about who they are. In a spotlight that can be unkind and restless, choosing measured openness is a delicate dance. Yağmur didn't fling open the door to her life, she simply invited everyone to acknowledge what mattered. It's a gesture that reads like trust, both in her relationship and in the audience that's cheered her on. And for Barış, whose presence has a way of making people lean in, this confirmation felt like the missing note in a melody we already loved. Together, they didn't present a spectacle. They offered an anchor, calm, intentional, and confident. If you've followed their journeys, none of this feels accidental. Yağmur carries her roles with a subtlety that sneaks up on you. One moment you're watching her from a distance, the next you're right there with her, feeling every heartbeat she pours into a scene. She has this way of turning a room into a stage without demanding it, of letting grace do the talking. Meanwhile, Barış has charted a climb fueled by presence and grit. There's a steadiness in him, a way of holding a gaze that tells you he means what he brings to the screen and to the moment. When these energies meet, it's like watching a conversation without words, an exchange that belongs as much to real life as it does to the camera. Of course, the whispers didn't sprout out of nowhere. Those late-night sightings after events where they seemed reluctant to part. That one candid where their hands almost, but not quite, touched. The look over a shared joke, the easy synchronicity during a quick live session, the shadow of one in the other's weekend snapshots. Some called it imagination, others called it a puzzle. Today, it's a picture. Not a tabloid splash, but a portrait with soft edges and honest light. It's the kind of reveal that doesn't feel like a victory for the rumor mill, but rather a small gift to the people who believed in the quiet between them. And what happens next? That's where it gets interesting. This kind of revelation tends to reshape the air around two stars. Doors that were already open swing a little wider. Projects that were exciting now hum with a new charge. It's not that their careers need the buzz, they stand firmly on their own, but the world loves a narrative, and together, Barış and Yağmur offer one that feels sweet and grounded. Perhaps we'll see more shared appearances, not as a strategy but as a natural extension of a life lived side by side. Maybe a joint interview where the jokes come easy and the silences are comfortable. Or perhaps an on-screen pairing that lets their real chemistry breathe through characters and lines, turning an ordinary scene into something that glows. Still, before anyone plans the next chapter for them, there's a reminder we owe them and ourselves. Privacy is not a wall, it's a garden. You can be invited to admire the flowers without stepping on the petals. The way Yağmur chose her words tells us exactly how they intend to walk this line, sharing a little, living a lot. There's something beautifully modern about that balance, about choosing to be visible without becoming a spectacle, about keeping the core safe while letting the edges sparkle. The ripple effect on fans has been heartfelt. People have been telling stories of how these two inspired them individually, and how seeing them together feels like a mirror of something tender and hopeful. A comment that caught my eye said, "This is the kind of news that makes a rainy day feel bright." Another simply said, "We were right, but more importantly, they look happy." It's funny how confirmation changes everything and nothing at the same time. The sun is the same, but the sky looks different. They are the same artists we admired last week, but their steps today sound warmer. Industry chatter has already started turning. Producers are imagining scripts with space for authenticity, directors are thinking about how to frame the kind of glances that exist before the scene is called to life, and brands are wondering how to bottle the comfort and spark that seems to follow these two when they share a frame. There's a temptation to spin forecasts, to draft timelines for when and where we'll see them side by side again. Yet, if this journey has taught us anything, it's that the most beautiful moments with them tend to arrive unannounced, somewhere between the seen and the felt. It's impossible not to reflect on why this confirmation hits so deeply. Part of it is because we've been in the waiting room together, watching for signs while respecting the hush. Part of it is because their paths, individually, already carried a sincerity that felt rare. There's also the hope that hangs around a couple like this. The hope that a real connection can survive the bright heat of attention. And maybe the biggest part is this: there is a quiet courage in saying, "Yes, this is real." It's a sentence that belongs to them, but it also belongs to anyone who has ever chosen honesty over uncertainty. Let's not forget the journey that brought them here as professionals. Yağmur's dedication has a way of turning even small roles into moments people remember, whether she's stepping onto a set with poise or fronting a campaign that feels more like a story than an ad. She has refined her choices with care, building a foundation of trust with audiences who look to her not just for beauty, but for depth. Barış's ascent has been marked by a kind of fearlessness. He doesn't rush, he simply shows up with intention, and that steadiness has drawn a loyal crowd eager to see where he goes next. Together, they're not a surprise, they're an answer. The speculation years weren't always gentle. There were days when the pressure to define, to confirm or deny, could have turned this into a performance too early, too loud. But they didn't bend to that noise. They waited. They let time do the quiet work of softening edges and building something that could stand without scaffolding. So when the words came, they sounded like home. Not rushed, not rehearsed, simply true. That explains the explosion of warmth more than any trend graph can. We didn't just get a headline, we got a heartbeat. What would a joint project look like? Imagine something intimate and character-driven, where silences are allowed to linger and the camera trusts them enough to stay close. Imagine a piece where humor arrives gently and vulnerability is earned, where the story doesn't try to outshine the actors but lets them be the light. That's the dream many are quietly sketching tonight, not because a public pairing needs to be monetized, but because artistry this aligned deserves a canvas that fits. As we exhale with them, there's gratitude in the room. Gratitude to a couple who managed their own narrative without turning it into a tug-of-war. Gratitude for a moment that reminds us why we follow stories in the first place, to feel connected, to witness courage, to taste the sweetness of timing that finally says yes. And gratitude for the way this community held space, speculated with kindness, and arrived here not as intruders but as guests invited to witness a little glow. So here we are, standing in the soft light of a confirmation that feels both overdue and perfectly timed. Barış, Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel are together, they are happy, and the world knows it because they chose to say it. That's the whole story for now, and what a beautiful story it already is. We'll keep watching without crowding, cheering without demanding, and hoping they keep finding reasons to smile that big and breathe that easy. If more chapters unfold in public, we'll be here to celebrate them with the same tenderness. If the next parts stay private, we'll be here too, content with the knowledge that the joy we sense was never a mirage. Before we wrap, let's circle back to what matters most. This moment belongs to them. Our role is to appreciate it, to keep the conversation warm, and to protect the line between curiosity and intrusion. And if you felt your heart lift when you heard, if you caught yourself grinning at your screen today, that's the magic of connection doing what it does best. We're lucky to witness it from here. Thank you for spending this time with us on Secrets Behind the Stars. Tell me how you felt when you heard Yağmur say it out loud. Tell me the first moment you suspected this might be real. Tell me why this confirmation made your day brighter. I'll be reading, I'll be replying, and I'll be right here the next time a secret becomes a story. If you loved this deep dive, share it with the friend who never misses a whisper, tap that like so we know to keep bringing you the moments that matter, and if you haven't yet, join our family by subscribing. Until the next revelation, keep your hearts open and your notifications on, because in this world where stars shine and stories bloom, the truth has a way of arriving right on time.